يا رمضان يا شهر الهدى يا شهر الندى يا شهر البركات يا
But here, in fact, to be frank, the subject of the verse is even about intimacy, marital intimacy. And in that context, Allah is saying, قَدِّمُوا لِأَنفُسِكُمْ, put forth for yourself some monumental righteous deed by which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to reward you on the day of judgment. A weighty deed of righteousness that you expect to be weighty in your scale of good deed. A weighty deed of righteousness that you expect Allah, you hope that Allah casts smile on your face by virtue of that act on the day of Qiyamah. Where will you do that act? In you approaching your garden however you like and whenever you like. And Allah goes on, وَاتَّقُوا and fear Allah, وَعْلَمُوا أَنَّكُمْ مُلَاقُوهُ, and you know that inshallah you are all going to be raised and you are going to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give account of your deeds. In marriage, there is an opportunity to become a wali of Allah, not only in Qiyamul Layl or in Askar. Can you get that? Okay. Dinaran anfaqtahu fi sabilillah. A dinar that you have spent in general promotion of Allah's cause. A dinar that you have given a distant miskin that is not related to you. A dinar, okay, let me say a naira or a dollar. That's the unit. I'm quoting a hadith in essence. That you have spent in order, you have built houses, you mosque, and then a dinar that you have also spent in maintaining your family, in taking care of your wife. Somebody asked the Prophet ﷺ, which one is greater in value? And are you surprised at the response of the Prophet ﷺ? That what you have spent on your household is greater in value in the sight of Allah than what you have spent on the masjid? Then this thing has to be balanced too, my sisters.
ليس البر أن تولوا وجوهكم قبل المشرق والمغرب ولكن البر من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر والملائكة.
Let's read that passage together. Can we all turn to Surah Baqarah, verse 177. We are now talking about devoting ourselves spiritually to Allah, about worship. What exactly is worship? The first area our mind will pick is where? Allahu Akbar. Rabbana, yeah, just stand up for hours and giving this beautiful qira'ah. Oh, sujood, ruku. Fine, excellent. But Allah is saying, لَيْسَ الْبِرَّ أَن تُوَلُّوا وُجُوهَكُمْ قِبَلَ الْمَشْرِقِ وَالْمَغْرِبِ. Does that mean salat is not an act of righteousness? No. But what Allah is saying is, it is not righteousness that you commit yourself to salat and nothing more. You are just full of salat and there is no good in you except that you pray. That's not. لَيْسَ الْبِرَّ أَن تُوَلُّوا وُجُوهَكُمْ قِبَلَ الْمَسْجِدِ. No, it is not righteousness that you turn your face to the east or you turn your face to the west, worshipping, bowing, prostrating. وَلَكِنَّ الْبِرَّ. Even though this your worship has not come out of any sound iman, is not rooted in any genuine faith in Allah. وَلَكِنَّ الْبِرَّ مَنْ آمَنَ. True righteousness is indeed belief in Allah. Naam.
وَلَكِنَّ الْبِرَّ مَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ
Righteousness is genuine faith in Allah And how do you express genuine faith in Allah? Worshipping Him with a view to pleasing Him. Worshipping Him, being satisfied that He alone sees you and appreciates your efforts. Not that kind of worship that though on the surface dedicated to Allah, but somehow you are also expecting some praises and thanks as well along with it. No, it has to be for Allah. Wal malaika.
وَالْمَلَائِكَةِ وَالْكِتَابِ وَالنَّبِيِّينَ
The true believers are those who are always conscious about the angels, conscious of the angels. They know that they are there. Whatever they do, they are recording it. That's a whole topic for a session of this discussion, inshallah.
وَالْكِتَابِ وَالنَّبِيِّينَ وَآتَى الْمَالِ.
True faith in Allah is to take the book of Allah as your guide. You wouldn't do anything except what is sanctioned by the book. And whatever is not sanctioned by the book, you leave aside. Are we living the Quran? وَالنَّبِيِّينَ. You make the Prophet ﷺ your model. The Prophet ﷺ is your model. That's true faith. Not just Allahu Akbar, Rabbana wa lakal hamdu, that is empty. Now.
وَآتَى الْمَالَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ ذَوِي الْقُرْبَى.
Are we there? Allah having settled His own part. This is what you owe Allah. Just like we are going to juxtapose this inshallah with another verse in Surah Al-Nisa. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah rahmatan wasi'ah has postulated, and I perfectly agree with him, that the whole, simplifying the issue of worship now, narrowing it down, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all the verses of the Quran and all the ahadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what they've all demanded of us in terms of worship can be narrowed down to just two things. The first is worship Allah, join no other deity with Him. Then the rest is be beneficial, be of benefit to humanity. That those are the two legs of religion. They are like two sides of a coin. If you have the head without the tail, you don't have a valid legal tender. Am I correct? Just as if you have the tail without the head, it's not a legal tender. Whoever is just committed to spirituality, and is not of advantage, not of benefit to humanity, is not worshipping Allah. True ibadah, true worship of Allah must have those two sides. That is why your salat will not fly to Allah if it is not winged by what? Your sadaqah and your zakat. You cannot see Aqim Salah in the Quran without what? So even if you cannot observe zakah in the real sense of zakah, you must be charitable. Somebody not giving charity is not a believer. Sorry, this is not a subject of today. I can establish this, that is an enemy of Allah. Whoever is not of benefit. And the more khairun nas, man yanfa'un nas. The better you are in being beneficial to people, then the better you are also before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We want to see where salat is. Allah is defining righteousness here.
وَآتَى الْمَالَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ ذَوِي الْقُرْبَى.
Allahu Akbar. The true believer, the true worshipper of Allah is he who devotes himself with his resources ala hubbihi, in spite of the need he has for that resource, in spite of his interest in it, in spite of his love for it. Sizable portion of what Allah has given you, he spends it in charity. Dhawil qurba, on those that are close to him in relation. The first in this category is the wife and the children. And that is the first that Allah has mentioned. But I said, this coming from this side has to be balanced. Has to be balanced. Do not prevent your husband from being charitable on account of excessive demand for things that are not necessary. Your holiday can be sacrificed if there are more genuine competing needs. What the husband must not fail about are those things that are necessary, or maybe they are important, or they can just make you as well comfortable, sorry, in the reasonable sense. And that may now have to vary from one individual to the other, depending on what our economic status is. But for example, if you are just planning about a trip, just a holiday trip, 2 weeks Dubai, just want to relieve your stress, blah, blah, yeah, fine, it's not haram. And something just comes in. Somebody is dying. He needs maybe half of the same sum. If nobody does it, then he's going to die. That is what the medical reality we are facing. And your husband does not have any extra budget to augment for that. If he does that, then that trip will fail. Don't quote me or quote the Prophet Sallallahu in the circumstance that to do this is better than that. I think we all know that Allah is talking to sensible people. And inshallah, we are all sensible. Inshallah. But it's also a reality that we must understand that if you do this, this is worship by the definition of the Quran. To spend handsomely in maintaining your household and ensuring that your family is well kept to the best of your ability. Then you must also reach out. Read that verse.
وآتى المال على حبه ذوي القربى واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل والسائلين.
Can you see that Allah has not limited it to you alone? واليتامى, the orphans around. والمساكين, the needy around. وابن السبيل, and those who are stranded wayfarers.
وَالسَّائِلِينَ وَفِي الرِّقَابِ وَأَقَامَ الصَّلَاةِ.
And whoever comes asking, I don't mean commercial beggars. Those ones on the street constituting nuisance on Lagos Road, wallahi, they are committing haram. Their act is an act of sin. You earn no reward by giving them money. In fact, you are an accomplice in sin. Except, of course, if you are able to identify a special case among them, which has only been brought out of the road on account of, a situation that you can distinguish. But just some children, some married women, some men who are supposed to be engaged. I mean, those are the ugly faces of Muslims. I am nurturing an idea and I'm going to share it. Perhaps somebody can take it up before me. We don't care. Can we possibly float an NGO and obtain the license of the government? There will be a ministry that must be responsible for all those monies. Am I correct? And let's have the government's authority backed with a task force so that we can arrest these people and put them in rehabilitation home, give them what they need and rebrand them. Such authority that can be enough to keep them for a period of 2 to 3 years. We have primary schools there, we have secondary schools. After 6 years, we are producing graduates. And this can be done even at some point. We can even have some foreign assistance, have a university or the other we can speak to in any of the Arab wars that will be producing this. If it is Q or Karatu that they want to, we give them qualitative Karatu that will make their life meaningful. Get admitted into universities in the world, in the Arab world, read any course and let them come back. I'm telling you, they are going to be different individuals. It doesn't matter with what language you have acquired education. No, education is education. So this is something that no government in Nigeria will think about for us. But if Muslims can do something about that, I mean, those people are part of the factors that are slowing down the dawah. I mean, the good effort of scholars are being really frustrated because those are the first things people would see. Islam is about poverty, it's about beggary, it's about violence, it's about. So when the Quran says wasa'ilin, it means whoever comes to you asking genuinely. It could be anybody. I've had a situation where the late MKO Abiola had cause to ask because he was out of cash. It was not the day of ATM then. There was no means of electronic transfer. He was loaded before he left home, but you know his nature. And he had to ask, that person was a friend. They used to call him Baba Jebu, Abanwa, 10,000 and freely. So Abiola Yawu Owuti told not him he didn't even, but that was anybody can. So it could be me, it could be you. When somebody comes, that is the meaning of what people attribute to the Prophet ﷺ, that don't turn down a beggar even if he comes riding on a horse. That means, yes, a person may be riding the best of cars, but you wouldn't know what his situation is at that particular time. He could be in need. It doesn't mean that generally he's wretched, but he just needs somebody to bail him out. So it is not for you to now look at him riding this car and you are still asking me, I beg, go away. No, you'd be making a mistake. But that does not mean you go to roadside and you'll be distributing 20 naira to beggars. Or maybe one Malam has even told you look for the ones that are blind. And you are even checking, first of all, whether it's the blind one you are giving. That is even shirk. Taking it to that level is even fetishness of a sort. وَسَائِلِينَ وَفِي الرِّقَابِ. And in emancipating people. The emancipation in the days of revelation of the Quran may be different for what it takes to emancipate you. Ask me, what do you need to emancipate people today? I will say, educate them. Am I right? If you want to keep people in bondage, just keep them in ignorance. And if you want to liberate them, just give them education. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has called all these what? Acts of righteousness by which you devote yourself to Allah. And let's see where salat is.
والسائلين وفي الرقاب وأقام الصلاة وآتى الزكاة والموفون بعهدهم إذا عاهدوا.
Can you see that salat is coming very late in the order? It's also part of righteousness that you observe salah. It's part of righteousness that you give zakah. وَالْمُوفُونَ بِعَهْدِهِمْ إِذَا أَحَدُوا. It's part of righteousness that you fulfill your undertaking when you make one to people. Fulfill obligations on you. When you enter into a covenant, discharge your part. Yes.
وَالصَّابِرِينَ فِي الْبَأْسَاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ وَحِينَ الْبَأْسِ.
Firmness and constancy in the path of Allah, because Allah has not promised that when you worship Him, you wouldn't encounter a problem. No. So, one major part of worshiping Allah is to be patient and enduring in His cause, especially when you are being embattled in the cause of Allah. Your firmness in that circumstance is a noble act of worship that Allah appreciates a lot. Yes.
أولئك الذين صدقوا.
Those are the ones who are true in their claim of faith or belief.
وأولئك هم المتقون.
And they are the ones who can be held to be pious or righteous. We have also identified that, okay, in pleasing Allah, there are acts that are inherently worship, like your salat, and that was where we went. You can't fast except it's inherently spiritual to fast. I'm not talking about the dieters now, but forming an intention to fast, I think that is inherently spiritual. To pray, to recite the Quran or observe azkar, those ones you may need not to form any particular intention. But I said as well that there are several other acts of worship that can earn us fat reward, but people need to particularly dedicate that as an act of worship before it can be received as such, because innamal a'mal binniyat. If you think you are just playing your social responsibility, discharging your social responsibility as your father, as a father, when you are raising your child, wallahi, it's a very great loss. Okay, we talked about marriage the other time. Is that not? Let me back that up with another hadith. The Prophet ﷺ says, "Man tazawwaja minkum faqad istakmala nisfa dinihi." Whoever is married among you has fulfilled a whole half of his religious obligations. فَلْيَتَقِلَّهَ فِي النِّصْفِ الْبَاقِ. Let him therefore fear Allah regarding the remaining half. Okay, thank you very much. That is even more funny. وَفِي بُدِي أَحَدِكُمْ صَدَقَةً. Even in one of you mating with a spouse is also an act of worship. And the companions were amazed. They asked, Ayati ahaduna ahlahu wa yakunu lahu dhalika sadaqa. Will any one of us be mating with his spouse and that would also be a rewardable act of worship? And the Prophet said, yes, why not? What if he uses his manhood out of wedlock? Would he have incurred the sin or not? And they also answered yes. So also will the angels be recording reward for him anytime he's performing his duty with his spouse. Why will it not be an act of worship? When if the husband invites his wife and the wife does not oblige him, she remains under the curse of Allah till the following day. Why will Allah punish you for something that is not an obligation? Are we there? If I refuse not to pray Rak'at al-Fajr, I'm not under a curse. Are we there? If I say Maghrib and I just stand up and I don't care about the 2 rakah, I'm not under a curse. Why? Because it is not an obligation. But it is only because it's an obligatory act of worship that a woman will be under that duty, the one that is even, it's not something we can just say is contractual between us and our spouse alone. Are we there? But let me tell you, not everybody in wedlock will have his marriage constituting half of his deen if he has not defined his marriage as ibadah. That is what I'm trying to point out here. And this is the reason why we have to note that as well, so that some of those things we commonize can as well give us very fat reward with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, let's hope by this we've been able to cover some substantially. We may never be able to exhaust the concept of worship. Now we know it's not just about spirituality, it's about doing anything that pleases Allah. And germane to that as well, because you can't please Allah while you are also displeasing Him. We don't need to mention the other side, because the two are mutually exclusive. Am I communicating? If we say everything that pleases Allah, I think also very inherent in that definition is that also refraining from what displeases Him. Because you cannot please Allah while you are displeasing Him. The two cannot coexist. So when we now go to the scope of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from that definition you would see that we talked about some things salient, hidden, but they may even be more important acts of worship than the ones that are manifest outside. The most important thing by which we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to believe in His Lordship and sovereignty, to believe in His divinity, and to make our devotion exclusive for Him subhanahu. But your iman lies where? In your heart. You don't pronounce it. It is also compulsory for you to love Allah. Make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the number one love of your heart. This is another level of iman that is not easily attainable. The Prophet ﷺ says, ثلاث أو ثلاثة من كن فيه وجد بهن حلاوة الإيمان. 3 things, whoever has them will only begin to taste or experience the sweetness of iman. Meaning, if you don't have the 3, you may only be paying lip service to faith, but you may not have them. And the first he mentioned is أن يكون الله ورسوله أحب إليه ممن سواهما. That Allah and His Messenger are more dearly to your heart than any other person other than that. Than your father, than your mother, even than yourself. Love of Allah, love of the Messenger, the two are always together. Because the Prophet ﷺ would always represent his Lord. And that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also conveyed messages and instructions and orders to us through the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the two are inseparable. To what now? Because you love Allah, because Allah is the greatest love of your heart, that would also determine whom you love and whom you also dislike, if you must. The friend of your friend is what to you? Huh? What about the enemy of your friend? Huh? The enemy of your friend, can he be your friend? Huh? Alhaji Salami is my best friend on earth. Eh? And I know that some man is an avowed enemy of his. and to the knowledge of Alhaji Salami, I'm now also romancing with that person, and will it ever work that way? Unless only the hypocrites will do that. The enemy of your friend is what? Your enemy. Because Allah is the greatest love on your heart, that would also make you love for the sake of Allah. You love all people who are doing good. You love all that are lovers of. You love them because they are in the path of Allah. You may also show the same love even towards a kafir or a mushrik, but what love you are showing is you want to as well win him to become the lover of your own lover as well. So by extending dawah to him, by being good to him with a view to, inviting him to love your lover. But once a person has taken a position as an avowed enemy of Allah, then you know that that is not a person that you can be too close to.
يا رمضان يا شهر الهدى يا شهر الندى يا شهر البركات يا